I want to come to us all today as your pastor, yes, but as your friend who's got genuine concerns about our future and the future of our relationships, and not just as a leader and leading others, but just the future of our relationships as a person, as a father, as a mother, as a sibling, a brother, as a son, a daughter, even as an employee, like Richard was sharing before in his workplace, or as a business owner. I really get a sense that we're actually at a critical point in our social landscape, and it's heightened because of these new things that are happening with a war occurring, in our world today. We've got the long tail of COVID still wagging in our country. We've got floods, up and down our east coast in our country. These are all things that just bring to a point what I want to talk about, because we are all emerging from 2 years of disrupted and also dictated social interactions. We haven't been able to really choose how that looks for ourselves as much as we would have liked. But those social interactions now are becoming a lot more autonomous. We can create those more so than we have in the past. There's a fresh sense of freedom to re-engage socially with our world. And we're also presented with this extraordinarily unique opportunity. I don't know if you can sense it as well, where we get to kind of reset our social lives. Have you guys felt that? There's this opportunity. You can almost have this free pass to say no to people and yes to people like you haven't had before. So we get this sense of, we can actually reset how our social lives function. And we've got this free pass to choose afresh, not just what we're going to do and the freedom to socialise, but whom we'll do it with. And that decision of who we do our life with, I want to drill down on really briefly this afternoon. Dr. Henry Cloud, in his book, Boundaries for Leaders, he says this. He said, it's not enough to avoid toxic negative connections. It's critical that you invest in building positive ones. Positive emotions have been shown to broaden people's range of thinking and responses, enabling them to become more and better problem solvers, more open to new ideas, new inputs, more efficient and productive. And he goes on to say, a positive emotional climate expands everyone's intellectual repertoire and abilities. He says it's not just happy talk, but neuroscience. So having the right people in your life changes your thinking for the better. A pretty famous motivational speaker you may have heard of, Jim Rohn, and you've probably heard of this concept anyway. He's quoted as saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So whether it's, social status, finance, intellect, academic prowess, business acumen, success, his research has shown you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. The Bible reiterates this. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:20, become wise by walking with the wise. Hang out with fools and watch your life fall to pieces. So if you want to be wise, be with wise people. If you want to live a foolish life, make sure you spend your time with fools. So you are who you are with. Proverbs 15:30 begs the question, are we hearing good reports from our closest friends? It says, Proverbs 15:30, eyes that focus on what is beautiful bring joy to the heart, and hearing a good report refreshes and strengthens the inner being. Are the people you're with speaking good reports into your life? That's why we do good reports in our staff meetings and our gatherings. Proverbs 25:25 says, like a drink of cool water to a weary, thirsty soul, so hearing good news revives the spirit. I wonder if we're spending time with people who are bringing good news into our life. And so as we think about all of that, here's my question. How is your people picker? How are you at choosing the people that are going to do you good as you move forward in this new social dynamic where you get to refresh and restart how you interact and who you interact with? So we all get to choose the individuals that we are around. Sometimes we think, we just have to be with the people that we have to be with. But to be honest, there's a fair bit of autonomy around that, particularly in this season. And so I'm going to conduct a quiz. So are you ready for this? You got your pen and paper ready? If you haven't, just get you've got 7 questions. So you've either got to have a really good mental capacity or you need to write this down. I may not get to share this at the end, but it's easy to get out of balance when it comes to the people in our life. Sometimes we have a lot more draining people in our life than people who gain or improve our life. And so we're going to do an individual healthy relationships quiz. And I'm going to list 7 kinds of relationships that John Townsend discusses in his book, People Fuel. 7 kinds of relationships. And from 1 to 7, number 1 are the top fuelers. Number 1, they pump up your tires, they fill your tank. To number 7, which is the relationships that empty your tank. There's like a hole in the tank. Number 7's the worst. So number 1 is like, yep, these are the kind of people I need to spend most of my time with. Number 7, these are the kinds of people that are going to drain and are going to be a drain on my emotional tank. So are you ready for these? I'm going to list through 1 to 7, quickly just discuss they are. Now what you need to do as I list through these is just write down after each kind of relationship how many of these kinds of people you think are in your world and or how much time you spend with these kinds of people. So, let's say number 1, I've probably got one of these people. I probably spend an hour with them a month or I meet them once a year. I'm with them every day of the week. Just roughly, right? It hasn't got to be exact. I'm not going to use it as the new algorithm for Facebook to determine who your friend requests need to be. But so number one, the kinds of people that fill our tank and drain our tank. Number 1, coaches. So these are the kind of individuals whom we engage to mentor us, to develop us, to guide us, to direct us. And they've got 3 qualities. So how do we know we're with a coach? Number 1, they are subject matter experts in the area of your interest. So if it's leadership, they're experts in that. If it's parenting, they're experts in that. If it's emotional health, they're experts in that. If it's spiritual growth, if it's physical training, they're experts. Coaches they bring something of expertise into your world. They know how to coach. So they're actually trained in coaching. They're not just good people that want to help you. There's a science to coaching. They know what the science is. They take the appropriate steps to move you from point A to point B. Thirdly, they have no personal need for you to be a mutual friend or a buddy for them. So you don't need to bring anything to the conversation. They are there for you and you alone, and you are bringing absolutely nothing to their emotional world. That's a coach. So you might write 0. I don't have a coach. And to be honest, I kind of hope that you might go through this list and think, oh, okay, I need to spend a lot more time with these kinds of people, or I need to find one of these people. That's number 1. Number 2, so coaches. Number 2, comrades. So these are people who are your life team. John Townsend calls them your life team. So 3 individuals, maybe 10 individuals who know all about you. They know all your stuff, all your dirty secrets, and they totally accept you just how you are. And you also know their world, and you accept them just how they are. They're fully invested and involved in your personal growth, and they also want you to be involved in their growth, and they're vulnerable with you. They want to help you, and they want you to help them. There's a mutual improvement or a mutual encouragement that takes place. Also mutual accountability. So do you have people in your world who are like that? Yes, no, I've got 1, I've got 2. I kind of spend a day a week with them, once a month. We catch up 3 times a year. Comrades, who's your life team? Those people who are in your world. You might need to go back to this list later and just go through and re-listen to this and have a think about who you have in your life, who fills your tank, or maybe who you need to find to place into your world now that you get a chance to reset your relationships in this new season. Number 3, John Townsend calls these people casuals. So they're those friends and neighbours who they're just good, positive people. They might be the people that are on your kids' soccer team, that they're the nice people on your kids' soccer team. You love hanging out with them. They're really friendly. They're nice to be around. They might like the same music. You might go to a concert with them. They might like the same food. You might go to the restaurant with them. They're just good people to be around. They're casual friends, and they just help us to experience, being in the moment, enjoying life with other people. Casual friends, good people. You enjoy each other's company. You love hanging out with them. And sometimes we spend almost too much time in that relationship and not enough time in the intentional, vulnerable, accountable relationships also. So that's something else to think about. We may even have these a little bit out of balance. All right, number 4, colleagues. You don't always have to, you don't always get a choice, right, in who you work with. But as much as possible, you do want to find an environment where you're working with these kinds of people that are, number one, they're actually really competent at their job. And again, you don't always get to choose this, but where you do have influence, you do want to be working with people who are competent at what they're doing. Number 2, they're relationally orientated. They're not entirely task orientated. There's nothing worse than working with someone that is incompetent, completely task orientated, but failing all the time. Thirdly, they work well on teams. They bring something to the table. They're not always looking for you to do work for them, or they're not always bringing excuses. Working with those kinds of people can make your work life energizing as opposed to depleting. And so again, work colleagues, you can't always choose them, but where you can, you want to choose people that are competent, relationally orientated, and work well on teams so that you walk away from your work day energized. Okay, so that's colleagues. 5th, care, people that you care for. So these individuals are without something in their life that you can bring them. As pastors and leaders, we often spend a lot of time in this space with people that we're caring for. This can range from, you're mentoring someone. It could be a young business person, a young person in ministry. It could be a younger parent. You might be an experienced parent and you're investing time into them to help to develop their parenting skills. It could be missionary trips. You could be called to go to another country and invest into digging wells or building schools or playgrounds, or could be that you're called to be praying for people, ministering to people, hospital visits, all that's care relationships. How many people are in your life, in your personal circle, are demanding or drawing from that emotional part of your tank, the care part. Our care relationships, they're important because they help make our world a better place. And we do always need to be giving back. It's what makes our life rich and gives our life purpose. And it helps us to remain balanced and not have an ego. It's good for us, but we do have to be careful and aware of how much time we're spending putting energy out, investing into others, and it's good to be balanced. So if you're doing your list now and you go, okay, now I can list 100 people, but the other 3 I could list 2 people. We go, okay, maybe we're slightly out of balance here. I think pastors particularly can get caught up in this trap where we're just like, let's just give out to everybody. But we have to be careful that we're in balance. And number 6, we're wrapping it up. Chronics. Chronics are not bad people. These relationships are not bad relationships, and because they're often very good people. They do have often long-term patterns of having lots of problems that rarely or almost never go away. They've got issues with finding work, financial hardship, emotional trauma, family and relationship struggles. What is noted with these kinds of people is they have a flat learning curve. So irrespective of how much advice you bring, input you give, support practically, emotionally, even financially, the growth curve is almost always flat. And they will want you to spend time with them because you bring so much more to the relationship than they bring for you. They don't bring anything for you. They take from you, but they also don't improve in their place in the world. And so, again, not bad people, good people, but because you're caring and supporting, you're bringing so much to that relationship, you can spend enormous time and energy in meetings trying to help chronics but never see change. So again, it's a warning. Now, you might have a few people in your life that are super demanding, and that's again fine, but is it in balance? Are you being topped up and filled up and encouraged by your coaches and your life team and your casual friends? Finally, these are the contaminants. Ooh, it sounds a bit harsh to call people contaminants, doesn't it? We're all imperfect, totally get that, but contaminants are on a totally different level. They've got bad motives. They tend to be envious. They tend to divide, damage other people. They're often wanting to attack your life, your business, your ministry, your church. They often want to attack your marriage, your family, your own soul. And there's we have clear evidence, if that's the case, that you're dealing with a person that just wants to contaminate your emotional life. And the best thing to do is to warn them of that. Say, hey, this behavior is totally unacceptable, and then create a safe distance from them for yourself and for your family. So there's not many of those, and hopefully you don't have any of those in your life. If you do, obviously that's an area that needs addressing. So there's 7 relationship categories of people that I think are important to put in front of us as leaders today, because I do believe we've got an opportunity right now. We have permission to begin to reset how our relational world looks. So not just what we do, but who we do our life with.